Welcome. In this lesson, we'll explore how ancient humanity tried to understand the universe through myths and the timeless structures behind them. Archetypes. What is a myth? At its core, a myth is the framework through which a culture explains the world, the vastness of nature, and the complexities of the human condition. It is a narrative that gives meaning to existence, a story woven into the very fabric of a society's identity. But these are not mere fictions or simple folk tales designed for entertainment. To the ancient mind, myths were not stories in the modern sense. They were a higher truth, a lived reality. They were the operating system for society, dictating rituals, justifying laws, and providing a shared understanding of the cosmos. They were reality itself, as tangible and influential as the wind or the turning of the seasons. These sacred narratives served four fundamental functions. Cosmologically, they explained the origin and structure of the universe. Sociologically, they validated the social order and its institutions. Pedagogically, they served as a guide, teaching individuals how to live a good life and navigate its various stages. And psychologically, they helped people understand their own inner worlds and find their place within the grander scheme. Every myth, in its own way, answers a fundamental question. How was the world created from the primordial chaos? Why do humans exist, and what is our ultimate purpose? What defines right from wrong, and what are the consequences of our actions? These questions are universal, and so are many of the answers. We see this in the prevalence of great flood narratives across disparate cultures, tales that speak of destruction and renewal. We see it in the figure of the trickster, whose cunning and defiance teach valuable lessons about the boundaries of social rules. In this way, myths form the collective memory of a civilization, a repository of its wisdom, fears, and aspirations. In Greece, the thunderbolt of Zeus established his rule over the skies and the order of the gods. In Mesopotamia, the powerful decrees of Enlil commanded the wind, shaping both the land and the fate of mortals. In Egypt, the daily journey of Ra's sunboat was not just a celestial event, but a cosmic battle ensuring the world's survival until the next dawn. In the frozen north, the Norse saw the world born from fire and ice. In ancient India, Vedic hymns described a universe hatched from a cosmic egg. Different names, different symbols, yet they all point to the same essential truth. Humanity has always sought to make sense of the awesome and often terrifying forces that shape existence. Myths, therefore, do not only explain reality, they create order from the raw material of chaos. They define the critical boundaries between the sacred and the profane, gods and humans, light and darkness, chaos and harmony. By providing this structure, myth becomes both the first philosophy, asking why, and the first map of the soul, asking who am I within this grand design. To understand the deep structure of myth, we must first grasp the concept of the archetype. The word itself offers our first clue, originating from the ancient Greek arche, meaning beginning or origin, and typos, which translates to pattern, model, or imprint. An archetype is therefore the original pattern, the first and most fundamental imprint from which all later copies are derived. It is a primordial form, a blueprint that exists before the specific instance. It was the Swiss psychologist Carl Jung who brought this concept into the modern era. He theorized that archetypes are universal, inborn psychic dispositions that form the substance of what he termed the collective unconscious. This is not our personal reservoir of memories and repressed thoughts. Rather, the collective unconscious is a deeper, second psychic system, a shared inheritance of mental blueprints common to all of humanity, regardless of culture or personal history. These patterns are not learned through experience. They are inherited, encoded within our psychic structure, much like the instincts that govern animal behavior. They are, in essence, the psychic residue of our ancestors' repeated experiences over countless millennia. Experiences like birth, death, love, and struggle. These archetypes manifest as recurring motifs and images in the myths, religions, and dreams of people everywhere. For instance, we find the Great Mother. She appears as Gaia in Greece, Isis in Egypt, or the concept of Mother Earth. She is the universal symbol of nurturing, fertility, and protection. We see her echo today in the fierce, unconditional love of a parent for their child. Then there is the hero. From Heracles and Gilgamesh to the modern-day first responder, this archetype represents the drive to overcome adversity, to descend into darkness, whether a literal underworld or a personal crisis, and return transformed, bringing a boon to the community. Every hero must confront the shadow. This is the archetype of our repressed desires, our unacknowledged fears, and the darker aspects of our personality. It is Loki in Norse myth, Set in Egyptian lore, or the internal antagonist in a modern psychological thriller. It represents everything we refuse to see in ourselves. To navigate these trials, we often seek the wise old man or woman. Embodied by figures like Odin or Thoth, this archetype offers guidance, wisdom, and enlightenment. It is the mentor, the teacher, the seasoned expert who provides the hero with the knowledge or tools needed for the journey. Another vital figure is the trickster. Embodied by characters like Coyote in Native American tales or Hermes in Greek myth, the trickster challenges convention, mocks authority, and creates chaos, often leading to unexpected, positive change. They are the agents of disruption who force us to question our reality. On the path, we inevitably meet the threshold guardian. These are not always villains, but figures who test the hero's resolve at the entrance to a new world or a new phase of life. They represent the obstacles and internal resistances we must overcome to grow. And underlying many of these journeys is the archetype of rebirth. Seen in the myths of the Phoenix and Osiris, it is the fundamental pattern of death and renewal, the cycle of destruction leading to new creation. It assures us that every ending is also a beginning. These archetypes are the timeless characters that live through our myths. Each story, ancient or modern, stages one or more of these eternal figures, giving them a specific cultural costume and name, but leaving their essential function intact. To study mythology is therefore to decode the very grammar of the human psyche. And these ancient patterns are as alive today as they ever were. From Luke Skywalker and Katniss Everdeen embodying the hero, to Gandalf as the wise old man, and Darth Vader as the shadow, modern storytelling continues to draw from this same deep well. The hero's journey, first told thousands of years ago, is still our journey. So let us distill what we have learned. In essence, a myth is humanity's first most profound answer to the fundamental questions of existence. Before science, before philosophy as we know it, these sacred narratives provided a framework for reality itself. They were the original operating systems for the human mind, transforming the terrifying chaos of the unknown into a cosmos rich with purpose, order, and meaning. They gave us our place in the universe and a map to navigate its mysteries. And if myth is the answer, then an archetype is the psychic DNA of that answer. These are not mere character types, They are the universal inherited patterns of thought and experience that reside deep within the collective unconscious. The hero, the shadow, the great mother, these are the primal structures that give myths their enduring power and uncanny relevance, echoing from the dawn of civilization into the heart of our modern lives. This is why, when we study these ancient stories, we don't just look back in time at what people once believed. We look inward, into the very architecture of the human soul. We are engaging with a living legacy, a psychological inheritance that continues to shape our perceptions, our fears, and our aspirations. But these profound truths are rarely stated plainly. This brings us to our next lesson, the language of the gods, symbolism. There, we will uncover why myths never speak directly. We'll explore how the deepest layers of the psyche communicate not through logic, but through potent, multi-layered images. We will learn how symbols became the secret, efficient language of the divine, capable of conveying complex realities in a single, resonant form. This lesson has now come to an end. Thank you for joining me on this part of our journey.